At this time, we will call Deer Lodge School District number 1 to order. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we get a recognition of visitors?
Visitors are Katie Crowfoot, Shelley Burton, Tom Cotton, Tanya Rodriguez, Shane Olson, Tony Chu. Can't read the last name. It might be Rick Christmas.
I was the last one to sign in.
Okay, it has to be you then.
All right.
Is there any public comment? Public comment is anything that is not on the agenda. Okay. Correspondence.
I received and accepted a letter of resignation effective the end of the school year for Cassie Smith. So Cassie Smith's resigning at the end of the school year.
Is there a motion to approve the January 13th meeting minutes?
I move to approve the January 15th meeting minutes.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the January 13th meeting minutes. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, there's a correction. Bob Bell.
Okay.
Mr. Eric Augustus, the board member, trustee, or trustees, second.
Oh, cool. I'm the superintendent evaluation of that. For her first one.
So what is it?
Trustee Guston.
Trustee Augustus, second the motion.
Okay.
I can't
we have
remember.
it
who did it.
And it was you, right? You said.
I think it was me for that one.
Is there any other corrections? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the January 27th minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the January 27th minutes. Is there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We do not have an athletic director.
But I have a report on his behalf.
Okay.
He just wanted me to mention that Drummond is not planning now on co-oping golf with us. They're going to do their own job.
Maintenance supervisor.
Yes,
You ready? Yeah, are you?
yeah. So lots of things going on in the school district. We had a combustion exhaust fan that failed earlier this year, like January. Was able to find an old motor that was stored away, got that replaced. Now we had fresh air coming in, otherwise the boilers down here wouldn't be able to be fired. Got that fixed. We had a couple of pinholes over at Duval in the elbows in the feed water pumps. Was able to get them replaced and no problems with that. Then we had a air compressor belt fan or belt that had blown apart. I had my eye on it in the morning and thought I'd get away with it long enough to go get another one. Unfortunately, nobody in the town carries it, so I had to get it ordered, go back in about 8:45, and the room is cooking, and so is Duval Junior High. Was able to get everything shut down long enough to find a replacement belt within our own supply. It's working. I've got another one that is actually at Napa right now. I've just got to go pick it up, and that will resolve that issue of Duval overheating. Today I had a boiler down at Odie Spears, and that was caused by I think it was a water leak that had dripped into it's a motor protector, so it's a switch with a fuse. Was able to get it. Ace Hardware luckily had it. It was cheap. Got it installed, got everything fired back up, so Odie's back up and running. We had a booster pump go out in Granville for the dishwasher system. That is what controls the hot water that is higher temp than we can make the school's hot water, because by standard, we can only get to 125. This booster makes it so that we can get higher than that to satisfy sanitization of the school trays and silverware and all that. Was able to get that installed and replaced. It's up and running. Shelly Bogus is happy with that at the current moment. Man, they're busy. They're busy with a little while. Currently, Powell County High School's boilers, which are the newest and the second newest in the school district, I think, or Granville's are newer. They are currently rated, they have a tablet that controls them. They're currently outdated. You can get updates for them, and I've got in touch with Lochinvar, which is the boiler systems. I've been able to find the downloads to upgrade it, but I have not been successful yet in upgrading them. That'll just give us more, if the boiler fails, like I had a couple of boilers fail. One was due to a massive water leak coming from the roof system when the snow hit, and it was draining into the boiler room. Was able to get the leak fixed in the roof with parts that were already available. Got the boilers back up and firing, but then noticed that I wasn't receiving what kind of error we were getting on them. I'm working on that currently. They're still operational, but I don't want them to go down again. Currently that's where I'm sitting at on them, I think. And then we've got a modulating motor that is bad in boiler number 1 down here at the CPC. So every day, essentially what it'll do is it'll go through a couple of cycles that tells the boiler, hey, we're going to operate. And then eventually the modulating motor controls those arms, and it's not doing its cycle, so it can't purge all the non-spent gas out of the system in the boiler, which could create an unsafe situation where the boiler would do bad things. We'll follow that. Currently looking at solutions for that. I'm kind of holding off right now, hoping, fingers crossed, on good things, but right now that boiler has to be restarted every day. We'll get a couple of cycles out of it. It'll shut down boiler number 2. I've got actually operating steadily. I haven't had a failure on it. But boiler number 1 is in some dire need of some parts, and they're the costly parts on that. So I've been holding off on that, but daily restarts, and we can get obviously warm air in this building for the most part, minus the big rooms, which are that's the air handlers. Other than that, that's what I got for you guys. Any questions? A lot thrown at you all at once. I'm sorry. Apologize. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you. Okay, moving into new business in addition to the substitution list.
I recommend Kylie Urian to be approved by the board as a substitute teacher.
Sorry, what did you say?
Motion, we approve Kylie Urian as a substitute.
I'm not about second.
I'll second
It's been moved and seconded to approve Kylie Urian as a substitute. Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is the 26-27 calendar.
You have the calendar before you. I'm pleased to report that we have representation from all of our buildings, teachers, administrators alike, and I thought the process went pretty smooth. Would you all agree? When everybody left the room, there were smiles on the face. So I appreciate that. It's pretty easy for superintendent just to make a calendar, but that's not what master agreement says. So we included all the interested parties, and so you have that calendar before you for your consideration.
Confirms that there's some hours, they're met and everything, with that,
Yes.
the hours.
It essentially points to dates, but it is ours.
Number of percent, parentheses is the number of days are going down.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I move to approve the calendar.
We just seconded to approve the calendar as presented. Is there any discussion?
I do just want to make note that, at 187 days I get paid for, I don't care what 187 days I come. But there was an issue with that calendar and time for junior high units. But I think, sounds like, Mrs. Burton and Mrs. Crowfoot are gonna kind of work through that a little bit. But I just do think that it's important, you guys are aware that it's not just all perfect cut and dry. There are some things that are gonna have to be worked through to make sure the junior high gets the hours that they have to have with that particular calendar. But it does sound to me like our administrators are gonna work together and get that worked out, so.
Any other discussion?
This need to change if they move junior high over to the high school for bell schedule.
Katie, you want to do
Well, not really. There's a lot of things we have to work out still, but yeah, I mean, we'll figure it out. We'll make sure that we have.
And this year, the fourth and sixth grades only have a buffer of 1/2 day. So if we actually would have had, I still might have a slow day this year. So Mr. Chris and I are addressing that issue. We're going to build more minutes into that, so that we have a buffer. Because if we don't get our 1080, then we have to come back. And if we don't have 50% participation on the day when they come back, we have to do it again. So we can't have half days. So we're going to adjust our bell schedule, not the calendar, the bell schedule, to make sure we have the appropriate number of hours for post grade. The number of minutes.
Can I say something on those lines?
Yeah.
So long ago, when we had 15-minute recesses, our teachers were told there's not enough time in the day. You guys are going to have to give up either 5 minutes of your recess time every day, morning, afternoon, or we're going to extend the bell further into the afternoon. So the teacher said, yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. We'll give you that. We'll go with 10-minute recesses instead of 15. I'm sure Mr. Crispin remembers that. So that we don't have to extend that school day. Then all of a sudden we've got lots of extra time in there, so we can now have early out professional development time because we made a mistake when we calculated the hours, so we're all good. So now we go and put the professional development in, and now we're saying, well, we might have to extend this afternoon bell, even though you guys gave up the 5 minutes for each recess for us. We might have to go back and do that because now we put this professional development time in. I think you got to look at that a little bit, maybe visit with teachers and see kind of where they're at with some of that. Because I don't think it's fair to say, you guys give this up so we don't have to extend the day. And now all of a sudden we're going back and saying, oh, we're going to have to extend the day maybe to make sure we got some more minutes in the day. That just doesn't sound real right to me, I guess.
What is your recommendation?
My recommendation, I would recommend if you're going to do that, do away with one of those professional development days. go a full day on one of those professional development days and make sure you have all the time that your kids need by cutting one of those out. We've got plenty of those. I think that would be a little fair as far as with teachers and what they've given up already. And that's the elementary teachers. That's the K to 6 that had to do that. It didn't affect junior high at all, but it did affect them.
And with that, the minutes, like third grade is at Granville with us, but their minutes coincide with K2. And so those third graders often do the number of minutes as the 4, 5, 6 because they're kind of lumped in with Granville. So just being aware that third grade is getting more minutes than the K2, even though their requirement is the same as K2. So we want to make sure that we are looking at that as well when we're thinking of the teachers.
Is there any other discussion? Discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move into policies. We will start with policy 2050.
I move to amend replace policy 2050.
Shuffle mine.
Should be.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to approve amendments to policy 2050. Missy?
This basically goes to what we've been talking about as far as if we provide remote instruction, like through Digital Academy for children, you can count them in our A&B.
Is there any discussion?
So you had, you already don't have that, right? You had in the purple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're changing other to another.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Dumb it down, are you saying that if the student is out of district but agrees to enroll in a online instruction, to count that out of district kid as well?
So if they're enrolled in the district and physically attending a school or off-site instructional study district under an attendance agreement. So they could be enrolled in homeschool, but then if they come to us for remote instruction, we can count.
Okay, but if they're out of district, can we count them?
If we have an out of district attendance agreement.
Okay.
Other discussion on 2050? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next is policy 2100.
2100, so I move to accept the changes to policy 2100.
It's been moved and seconded to make the changes to policy 2100.
But this one doesn't designate the specific holidays in which we're gonna consider commemorative days. Before it was just the teachers and students will devote a portion of the day on each commemorative holiday designated by the Montana Code, setting an honor the commemorated person or occasion. The board may from time to time designate a regular school day as a commemorative holiday. And it just makes it more in line with Montana Code, sets the specific date.
Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Next is 2158.
I moved to 2158 as amended.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
2158. Literally,
Whole bunch of typos.
With all the eyes.
no, I don't even think it, maybe it is the typos there, but the only other thing is it's under 8. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bullet point down. It removes literacy from the early targeted intervention. We have a couple policies that follow. This is really targeted intervention.
Yes.
I think that. Yeah.
Is there any other discussion? Discussion, seeing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Next is 2161.
I move to approve the amendment to 2161.
I'll second that.
2161, what this does is it follows the Free and Appropriate Public Education Act, where we're supposed to extend our assistance to people with disabilities to their 22nd birthday or until they exit from eligibility.
Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next is policy 2161.
I move to approve the amendment to this as well.
Also.
It's been moved and seconded.
This one again extends the requirement for post-school ages from, it used to be ages 19 through 21, and now it birth until their 22nd birthday.
Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next is 2334.
I move to approve 2334. And look for a period of 1 hour per week
a second?
Full second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is 2450.
I move to approve the amendments for policy 2450.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the changes for 2450. Is there any discussion?
This policy, the only changes, instead of working cooperatively, which is what we had before, it's in consultation with the tribes and developing person study. So cooperatively is replaced with in consultation, and then it's added in close proximity to the district when developing courses of study.
Any other discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is 2600 work-based learning.
I move to approve the addition to 2600 work days in learning.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
On this one, it allows them to, which I think we're already doing, is get work-based learning for helping out and take care of our community residential facilities, things like that.
This isn't like work study where kids give up their last hour.
It is, I think it could be rolled into our work program, work-based program. It's exactly what it is.
And then you would say that employer will have to get a background check.
And Mr. Gupta, we talked about some of this, and it seems like that's where they're going. And anybody that's around there, around to make the background check.
And not all of the fingerprint. So people that volunteer go on a ski day, maybe only volunteer 1 day a year, 2 days a year, they don't have to get their own fingerprint, but state's requiring us now to do a background check. We're all double A schools.
There is a condensed process that we can do through the one-term.
So with this meaning that if we're actually as a student, all of this place, we have background check.
It's employer supervisor. So it'd be whoever supervised him through our thing.
I'm not saying it's bad, I think it's just certain businesses might be less likely to take on students if they know they have to.
Says any employee provider work-based learning. Going on supervised content. So like when Tyrell worked, may not have to have every person that works for some amount, but talk to Tyrell, get a background check. Be pretty costly. We got a lot of people going in and out of there.
It's not just costly, it's gonna be. Say it again, Mr. Purple.
Oh, I just said that's a big change, because that's not how any.
Yeah, do we have to accept this change?
Was this a school boards association?
Is it recommended or state law? That was a year on the state law, that you might want to. Okay, so
Should we table this one and then get further clarification? Yeah. Is there a motion to table?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to table. Is there any, there's no discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. No discussion on the table. 3121.
I move to approve the 3121. My understanding is that this one, again, we're taking out students and into it early. They're taking out literacy, and then as Mr. Christmas talked with before about the Jump Start program, and being able to add a quarter towards regular pupil enrollment.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next is 3141.
I move to approve the amendment to 3141. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the amendments to 3141. Discussion.
What this does is it gives our administrators a little bit more sight words on when we can accept if we exceed limits for student contact hours or maximum class size, we don't have to accept. Non-resident enrollment.
So it says for planning for late applications, the old one shall not be considered and the new one may be considered. That's correct.
It's on first page.
Yeah.
That's probably because of me, because I don't like the word man. I like it to be definite.
Unfortunately, with these out of district contracts, we haven't been able to get anything definite. Of any. And then it adds the
The transportation.
all the transportation code.
So it's a change in it to where you have to provide transportation.
No,
No.
the opposite.
So it is going to be right.
Is there any other discussion?
On page, I guess it'd be the second page of it, and it says late application shall not be considered, shall not be an added or taken out.
That's your,
Okay,
that's the original policy.
okay, on the back, that's taken out and says may.
Yeah.
So are we taking out blue and inserting purple?
Yes.
Yes.
That could have been at the beginning of the.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next is 3310.
I move to accept the amendment to 33.
I'll second.
And moved and seconded to approve the amendments to 3310.
There's an exception to a student cannot be subjected to disciplinary action for declining to identify the student's pronouns or address the person by a name, using a name other than the person's legal name, derivative of the person's legal name, or using a pronoun or title listing with the person's class.
Discussion
That's first.
in the student section. This is in the student discipline section.
Right.
Is there Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next is policy 3416.
I move to approve the amendment to policy 3416.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
This one, in a nutshell, is more specific on what's considered medicine and medication. It also expands to also guardian for a person who has a caretaker's affidavit for them. So medical power of attorney for somebody. That's a lot more definition for emergency medical funeral, gout, and defined a lot more on the glucagon. The opioid antagonist.
Second.
All of our are trained.
Those on good train, yeah.
And we receive ours from Department of Health.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next is policy 5120C.
I move to approve the amendment to policy 5120C.
I'll second that.
This is where we go back to that National Child Protection Act, Volunteers for Children's Act, where we talked, and they said that anybody that's unsupervised access to students need to be fingerprinted and chaperoned. That's one of the main things they added to this. The rest of the policy is pretty much the same, with the exception of amending terror blessing.
Any discussion?
That's what we're doing now. But previously it said regular unsupervised access, but they've changed it to specifically unsupervised access.
You do it one time.
Not necessarily fingerprinted, but have to go through some sort of background check.
Once in a while, we use them in the previous one.
Well, the example I provided was I chaperone the kids' ski day, once a year. And it was never required that the school have a family background check. There's, up to another places that do it.
Follows this fingerprint.
It does. It says need to be fingerprinted under the National Child Protection Act. So that if you don't want them, I don't know that you can do this one.
Where there's another staff member down there, that'd be.
they would be supervised then. If there was already somebody that had been fingerprint, they would be being supervised. So they wouldn't be an unsupervised chaperone, so I would assume that we could do that. As long as one of them, as long as one of the person was fingerprinted, if there was more than one chaperone, wouldn't have to all be fingerprinted.
So like our staff members that go on the ski trip would count with that person.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're not, I mean, if they're up on the top of the hill, staff members down in the lodge, they're supervised, the kid on the top of the hill, staff member is nowhere to be found. So that's not being supervised by the staff member because they're clear up on the top of the steel.
That's a good example.
So who gets nailed in the event that happens? I mean, is it staff member that, hey, you should have been up there supervising, or?
See, where the original language go with that, what about? That's what we read this on.
Right, so we changed it.
Actually, it was already in there.
All it changed was who will have unsupervised access.
Well, and they added chaperones.
Yeah. Well, there.
Yes, they do have to be fingerprinted, what it says. It'll have the lesser.
We had a volunteer process and a chaperone process before that were separate. So this is that's sort of the same thing. Right? Yeah.
We want to table this one again.
I'll move to table policy 5120 P1. Clarification.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Moving on to policy 5122.
I would put your key table this one as well. Yeah.
There's no motion, so we're moving on to policy. Guys, do the active motion. 5255.
I move to approve the amendments for 5255.
Second. It's been moved and seconded for discussion.
This goes back to Shelley's question that no employee, regardless of the scope of the employee's official duties, may be subjected to adverse employment actions for declining to identify the employee pronouns while acting within the scope of employment and or address a person by using a name other than a person's legal name or a derivative of the person's legal name, or by using a pronoun or a title that is inconsistent with the person's sex.
Any discussion?
Kids too, or just employees?
Who did the kid? This is the employee.
But for the teachers.
Right.
This says the teachers are employees.
We have to come back with the teacher when we got more information. And they haven't had a chance to look
That
at
one's gonna be separate from this.
Yeah.
So this one is just an employee, basically,
Another employee.
to another employee.
Is there any other discussion?
Well, this was addressing a person. It doesn't say an employee.
It says identify the employee's pronouns.
Yeah, employee.
But address, and then or address a person by using a name other than the person's legal name or derivative of the person's name, or by using a pronoun or title that is with the person's life. So it starts out with employee stuff, and then to me, it spreads out to be more general. The other,
I do read it, though, identifying the employee pronouns. I can still.
or
Is that also a question for me? Because
there,
this should not be this difficult.
What I will- So there is additional policies that have to do with students, but they tied it in with, some of the curriculum stuff and
Does another person count to say parent?
what I would say is I think that this policy of this is good, will cover the rest of it in a different one. That's what I think like about all spread out.
I'd like this to go to B as well, if we're gonna do the other one, that's in conjunction.
This one is-
And this
Well,
one,
we passed,
we passed the other one.
Oh, never mind.
Work with students.
That's what I think.
administration.
The board, when the board has the opportunity to hire B to do all its policies. But we're not present for that. So convoluted.
But isn't that not the language that was passed by the legislature?
Is that what this is?
Pretty certain that that was what was passed in the last legislature, so it's.
I want to make sure that our employees are covered. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, really big, that's why we're asking.
What if it's student to teacher, like what if the teachers,
That's where it's. Policy book
Mr.
is
or Mrs.
too hard because it's community section.
There, like I said, there is additional policy that addresses this even more. But we didn't have it, and it's got options, and I didn't feel comfortable bringing it yet.
Will that one go to B?
Review with minutes.
You have questions?
Yeah.
I had a teacher that was going by Mrs. and then after Christmas, that's calling Mr. But the kid mental capacity, like this has always been Mrs. Smith. They shouldn't get kicked out of class for.
I believe that one would fall under the 30.
That's not, that's
The
under the one we just passed.
3,000
That's
policy.
just student to student though? Oh, thank you.
That's where we,
That's the
we're good on
question.
staff to staff and student to student, but when it crosses, that's the discrepancy.
And I think you guys share the same roots.
And is that the one that you haven't brought forth yet? Is the staff to student or student to staff?
There,
Colors.
there is a third one that fits in with it, but it is tied up in a lot of other language that, like I said, Bart and I went through all these, these are the ones that we felt comfortable sending, and then got additional information and changes, and that one I didn't feel comfortable.
I think if the board feels uncomfortable, we should table it, we can get them all together. If we have more questions with the other one, maybe we should put the policies all together in one group, even though they're in different places in the book, and discuss all three of them. So I would move that we table this one.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. $54.30. Yeah.
This one we tabled.
Dice due to lack of motion. 8301 dice due to lack of motion. Well, these would be brand new policies that we're starting on.
Yeah.
1007 FE. Not from my understanding.
But usually you can look at the bottom of the depiction, and if they depict the law book, it's usually a required policy.
Yeah. That's Leanne, is that correct on these ones?
That's what we're saying.
These ones are not required that we're moving into.
Kind of in the second line, the section 20-3-363 of the MCA. Is that the law book?
Yeah.
So I would say this is a required policy from what I've got from policy people.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's required for all districts because it's part of the multi-district agreement that we did.
Yeah,
All
so we're-
districts don't have those, so I don't think it's gotta be in the policy. Unless you have the agreement like we did last year.
Correct.
And we do not have anything in our policy book regarding multi-district agreement. I asked her and she said it'd be a good idea.
And that's this policy.
Just for that.
So I would move to adopt policy 1007 FB.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
We have an agreement, I've never had a policy.
Never want policy. Because then we'll be back here.
So let's clean that up well.
Right? Is there any more discussion?
Okay.
Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. We're moving past,
We do the next two together.
yeah, we're moving past 1009 FB. Okay, the next one would be 2165, and they're recommending doing 2165 and 2165 NF together.
Okay,
Is there a motion?
I move to adopt 2165 and 2165 and add. With that in place, please go back to that Jumpstart program. Focusing on literacy and math skills. We did not have any policies that regarding them. And we have talked about moving forward. So, all right.
I also understand my student may be eligible to receive any services from school district that's based on the results of evaluation. So maybe something. Under evaluation consent form, paragraph 1, 2, 3. Must be eligible to discharge in this program. Eligible. Are you in charge of the instructor?
We did not implement the Jumpstart program. We had a summer school prior to, and then we had discussions with Mr. Duncan, and the funding was not available to run the Jumpstart program, so currently we do not have that.
If we put it in policy, do we have to do the Jumpstart?
I don't believe so. I think it just is there to protect you if you do. Because that was under that House Bill, whatever, that had preschool and that stuff. And it said if you wanted to have those programs, then you could get either quarter A and B or a portion of A and B if you implemented those programs. So my understanding, I know I was asked that before, but I think from my understanding, it's an if thing, not a you will thing. So I think you can have the policy that is in place if we do get to the point where we can do that. Not that.
I've heard of circumstances where a student might go to a Jumpstart screening somewhere else, but not in the same district, they would attend. That make a difference in the policy. Like if a parent went to Missoula, there was a jump start screening going on, they do their kid in it. They recommended services, then they come back to Deer Lodge and say, "Will this district provide services for my kid? Because these people screened them as the lady or something." That matter?
When you don't have a program, the funding very inconsistent. That's why a lot of smaller schools have shied away from. Okay.
So if we don't have a program, then we need to folks it.
I don't know, I want to go back to your question on the, so my understanding when we were looking at the option of trying to do the jump start, in order to qualify for the jump start, the school personnel did the pre-screening to see if they were eligible for the jump start program. And what you were saying, it sounded like they were doing the screening at the jump start program, which is different than what I was told when that House bill was circulating and having discussion. So does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
So I don't know how,
I've just been to some of them and like parents from all over come in, they want their
Right.
kids screened, but they don't live in that district.
yeah, my understanding is the jump start is not a screener, that the screening is the responsibility of the school in preparation for students that qualify for the jump start program.
Any other discussion? Discussion, proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're not, policy 2600 is skipped. Policy 3655 there needs to be skipped over and put through the review on the background checks like the other one.
2165 for skipping.
3655.
2,600 also.
2600.
2,600.
It was already
Oh.
pulled out before we got. 3655, it's more of a background check stuff that needs to be reviewed. $51.23. It's been moved and seconded to adopt policy 5123. Is there any discussion?
I don't think so, that's good.
Yeah.
I have to do it over there.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any other discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next would be 5252.
I move to adopt policy.
Been moved and seconded to adopt policy 5252. Is there any discussion? Discussion? Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, that's all of the policy, the work policy committee. We will see you next month. Yeah. Since it's not listed on the agenda. Okay, so Next is a discussion on AI. What?
We talked about it for 20 minutes before I get it back on track.
Well, I'll start it off. I'm going to put it on here. I would like to know how we're using AI in our school. Whether it's the coach and the teachers or students. I'd like to know what is being taught in our schools about AI. And that's the only way we can get that is either from teachers or the principals. And the reports from them, showing us what's going on. I just I'm not for or against it. I think it's a fact of life that we have it. I don't think it's going away. But I'd like to understand what we are doing as a school and embracing it or not embracing it.
Any principals want to start off on that?
Well, I think at this point, there's not enough research or information about teaching kids to use AI to the point where I don't think any of us is comfortable doing that.
No, and I would also say the OPI guidance is fairly new. They have a 20-page document that came out in October, and they have suggestions for administrators, for policymakers, which would be you guys, for teachers and staff, and their guidelines kind of fall into making sure there's oversight, making sure that it doesn't replace the human component of teaching, and then choosing vendors and platforms wisely and well, and then training staff on it before we launch something out there, and being very careful about how we go about the processes. And they have several, well, they have a 20-page document that I skimmed today about that. And there are some resources through the Montana Digital Academy Frontier Learning Lab, where they will come in and work with teachers. They will work with staff to provide a foundation and then build and grow. But really, a lot of it also comes down to the direction that you guys give us in terms of. I don't know if there are any sample policies out there right now on that I'm not aware of.
I think there might have been one just come out.
As a matter, there might be a link in the document actually. But I think
It seems like I saw something in an email just either today or yesterday. I did not read it yet. So am I safe in saying we're not using it and not doing it in our schools at this time?
My kindergartners are a little bit, but
Like we should start at the very bottom and work our way up.
I mean, I think it's used a lot inappropriately, but that's part of our plagiarism policy at the high school and at the junior high. We includes not representing another entity's work as your own. So,
And that's kind of saying, don't.
yeah, that is
That's exactly what it's saying.
unless you cite it. then
Right.
you're okay.
Okay.
well, this document that they give, they say at the very end, which I thought was pretty interesting, how AI supports the development of this document. A page of what they, they ran different states policies or different states guidance through ChatGPT to find the similarities and differences, and then they kind of parse those out. And they did comparative research, draft support, and document design with AI.
So as a teacher, how would you know? I mean, if a kid went on ChatGPT, he said, "Hey, write me a report, 5-page report on George Washington." Puts it out. How do you?
Got it.
Here, I'm getting some mixed signals here. But we do have two teachers here, so if they would.
Well,
In high school.
all of our staff, if we do writing, kids need to give us more credit than we deserve, than we should. You know, if in my class, for instance, if the kids start talking about the Madisonian form of government, I feel like, you know, that's probably not their work. And so, I mean, kids are like, oh, Mr. Cotton, he can't pick up on this. Oh, but Mr. Cotton can. And so, you know, one thing we do, and I'll end on this note, is I have them write something for me, just an introductory paragraph on the very first day. And then I can say, okay, this is a young person's writing style. This is how they approach writing. And then if you give me something that's definitely not fairly close to that, then I'm going to know pretty close that there's
When
AI
they
been
do
involved.
their research and say they look for documents or they read something or it's informed that, does that also go into play to where they have to cite that exactly where they've seen it, how they, you know, because it might not have come from AI, it might come from a textbook.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, the bottom line is they're not representing their ideas. And the other thing is too, is that, one thing I've done, and kids growl and grumble, I'm just like, okay, you have to handwrite it. And they, you know, that at least takes care of the cut and paste problem. But at least, you know, they can still, they really, you know, again, you look at the writing style, they can't cut and paste, and that, you know, that gives them, that keeps them in line pretty well.
We have a good AI checker that we use at the high school too. So if I read the first couple sentences of something and I'm like, oh, look, you didn't write that, I can run it through there and it'll tell me, it'll highlight everything with AI written.
I really struggle with the AI checkers because they're not accurate at all. And the research that was published in December of 25 validates a lot of that the accuracy is not there, because people also learn to write to what they're reading. And as we get more and more AI into all of our documents, regardless of what they are, we're sounding more like AI even when we're writing.
So usually if I've had that before where parents will say, well, I sat right next to them while they wrote that. No, I know we wrote it. And I'll say, absolutely, that's fine. Here's another writing prompt. You write just like you wrote the other one. We'll run it through the checker. And if it shows that it was AI while I'm watching you write it, then I will give you the points for it. But I've never had somebody be able to learn AI checker. So
I would like Sean to weigh in on this, because this is kind of Sean's wheelhouse.
Can we go all look up the report on cognitive offloading before we talk about this again? I think that's the next step. But the one step I haven't heard any AI discussion is they did research on kids that use AI for writing, kids that don't use AI for writing. It's devastating. I mean, like the number one predictor of lack of critical thinking skills is, did you use AI frequently in the past year? It means education, race, gender, anything like that. So go look at the report, see if you want kids using it. I think that's the next step. I think we can use detection tools, but someone will be better LLM. I think we're burning a lot of like venture capitalist cash right now, trying to make sure everybody's using this thing, and we're really spreading a lot of training data for a lot of these LLMs. Everyone's going to use their LLM right now. I don't think that's always going to be the case. So we have to live with it, but I don't think we should embrace this like it's ultra positive and there's no wrong with it. I think you can look at that cognitive offloading report.
Where do we find that?
I think you should look up cognitive offloading. I don't remember the universities that did the study, but
Okay.
that's the term. It's
That's gonna say, I'm gonna Google that.
mental
you know,
work
it's gonna
before you
get something to say,
It's cognitive offloading.
I do know, like, I did a training, the special ed boot camp, and they did talk a lot about AI and the teachers. So we talked about students, but they did a lot of how teachers can utilize it. And they did talk about they gave a list of like, here's appropriate sites to use, but they mentioned if your district doesn't have a policy on this, encourage them to get a policy on this for how teachers use it, for how students use it, the sites and programs that they are okay with the district and teachers using. So that just so you know that a lot of training that we as teachers go to, AI for teacher use is part of it. So a lot of those trainings. So it was actually a morning and afternoon session of utilizing AI as teachers, as educators. So, and that was put on by the state special ed boot camp. So it is, I mean, teachers are seeing it out there and how to utilize it. I will sometimes write an email and I'll put it in an AI and say, make this more professional, or so that it does come across as a more professional email than maybe I would write. And so there are some ways that you can use it beneficially, but we do really need a policy from the school on how to use it. So teachers have guidance on what you guys want to.
And Bob, I'll weigh in on it too. Oddly enough, at this month's superintendent's meeting, regional superintendent's meeting, that's the number one thing on our docket to discuss about what schools are doing and I was at a training a year ago. And a lot of the stuff that I think that we were discussing, learning, is probably antiquated now, and not particularly effective anymore. And so, but there are some programs out there like Magic School, School Bus, AI, where teachers can take, like say you have a Spanish student in your class, you don't speak Spanish. They're trying to do a lesson. You want the student to be able to read the lesson. You can put that into one of those programs and then you can hand print it in Spanish to help that kid. So there's good things about it. This is such a moving target.
Well, that's why I looked on the agenda. And I would like to thank everybody that spoke here tonight, because I don't know where anybody thought this might go, but I appreciate all of your input and I thank you for it, because it was enlightening to me if it wasn't to anybody else.
Yeah. Mr. Olson, do you teach any of it in your computer?
I do now. I'm the only AI I'm ever gonna do is with my cows. And before I have to do anything AI with computers, I'm gonna be retired. No, I focus on instruction in Google Docs and Google Slides. We do some work with Bonsai program that is internet safety and your digital footprint, and but I don't do any of the AI stuff. So.
Do we have a journalism class in which they post and stuff? So are they able to use any AI stuff for their graphics or downloading their pictures or adjusting? Because I really think that can be a huge, if it got into the wrong hands.
Sean, on that, so there's different platforms. How security wise, what's the levels?
What do you mean?
Like how secure are these platforms?
Oh, it's a nightmare, yeah. Anything you upload into an LLM is the property of the company that runs it, right? So if you put stuff in Microsoft Copilot, including like student names, IP information, things like that, Microsoft owns that data. They put Gemini in our email, which none of us asked for, but that is definitely reading and collecting data on all of our students. So yeah, I'd say right now it's a privacy nightmare.
So, and that's the direction that the discussion is going to go at the superintendent's meeting about how does the board adopt policies when it's such a radically moving target? So, and if we would adopt something 6 months ago, we probably are already changing it. So it is a concern, but one more reason why that man right there is very valuable employee for this district. You know, Sean is not like crazy. Very good for us.
Anybody else have anything?
Would anybody like that one too? Don't think I just have to email that.
If you don't mind sending that.
And at the next board meeting, I'll
And
report on what we had.
add what Sean said, so, yeah. Cognitive offloading.
Not that I don't want to 20 years younger.
Okay, we'll go into principal reports.
Right, hold on. Mine looks like this. We lost 2 students, due to lack of attendance over the course of the school year. It gained 1 student. We've got 3 homeschool students who are enrolled in a separate calendar, so we can collect some A and B on them in sports. So. And then I'm really proud of our data. I put our mid-year benchmarks on here. But the way this works is it follows each cohort for 5 years. And so you can see 5 years worth of data, and then it averages all the scores together from the whole year. So we still have 1 more test that'll go into this, but this is what we look like mid-year. And I think particularly if you look down at our seniors, usually it's pretty hard to get seniors to do benchmark testing well. And so I'm really proud of how our seniors did this year. And it's not because they can't do it, it's because they're seniors and they choose not to do it. So
We didn't get seniors on ours.
oh, you don't have a back page? Oh, sad. Well, trust me, it's great. So I was really, really proud of them this year. I can email that
Well,
to
your
you.
juniors don't look too bad either.
Yeah, no, the juniors don't look too bad either. So that's, we just saw some really good growth, and we've been working really hard at the high school with metacognition and student self-reflection, and I think it's showing in our scores. I think.
Email all those to us because they're kind of hard to read.
Yes, I can make them bigger even and email them to you. Stop with like that. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you.
Chair Highland, our Parent Advisory Council will be meeting on February 19th. And we are still working on the district-wide behavior matrix. That kind of got taken back a little bit because of the facilities discussions that we were having, and we wanted to encourage people to go and not vote them down the meeting. So we're looking at that and probably another family engagement event coming up. And then right now we've got 2 days going on for grades 6 through 8. We have one coming up on Thursday. And then student council is also working on a spring formal dance. And that's we're in our 2nd test window right now for the mask testing and the DLM alternate testing. We have finished up with English language testing, and we will start soon with science testing.
You ever get to teach? It seems like every time you start another testing, those little seconds.
Mr. Olson could speak to that point.
On that testing note, and again, still a frustration. It's a frustration statewide. I went to the principals conference a couple weeks ago, and the conversations that are happening are the same things that we're struggling with is what it looks like and the amount of instruction time that they get in between testing and not having a whole lot of ability to go back and reteach and relearn because they're going to hit the ground running trying to get ready for the next round. I know that there's discussions. I don't know what it's going to look like down the road. I think that we're in the trial run phase, but I think some of the feedback that they're getting back is probably not very positive because it's creating a lot of frustration for teachers and for the kiddos too. So, that's something that we deal with as well as other districts. This last week, actually is on Thursday was our 100th day of school. Spear did a 101 day because it was on a Friday, and they had Dalmatians and kids dressed up and did kinds of fun stuff. I will say, because I usually do a perfect attendance certificate for the 100 days of school, and for kindergarten through 5th grade, I had almost 10 students that had been to school every day for 100 days, which is pretty cool. That was the most that I've had in quite some time. So this coming Friday will mark the ever so popular Q&U nuptials. Q&U are getting hitched, trying to convince the superintendent to be active part of being able to have one of the ceremonies that he will lead of the 2 kindergarten classrooms, which is where Q and U come together and they make all of the cool words like quick and quarter and all the different rules that apply that don't make sense any other time. Mrs. Witt has been working with her 5th grade class. She does an annual Valentine's Day play for parents called the Court of Hearts. They're getting ready. They're going to perform that at the end of this week. Talking about returning students, I've had a couple of students come back prior to our count day, but then also I've got some students that are coming back actually after the count day. So it kind of stinks that we don't get to count them on our A and B, but it's nice to see some of that returning happening. Yeah. Valentine's Day is on Saturday, and so our kids are in big time Valentine gear right now. So getting ready for activities for Friday.
So that we have a spelling bee coming up. So the testing we're doing, is that something that we're required to do?
Yes.
Yeah. It's the state mandated testing. We used to do it all at the end of the school year, kind of in April, May, for about a week. And now it's sprinkled liberally throughout the whole school year, like very liberally.
So in your guys' opinion, that doing it this way takes away from educating our kids?
I think, yes. I think it puts a lot of pressure on teachers to prepare them for the next test that's coming up. They know what the test is, because at least in math, you know, they can kind of do it by, the test lists are by concept, basically. And they plan out when they're going to do it. But by the time you get done with one, you got to turn around and start teaching for the next one. So can't really go back and do a whole lot of reteaching because there's that next test coming and there's so much pressure.
So if we've lost this, we bring the lost them.
Sometimes, I mean, that's fine. I think our teachers do a good job of trying to fill those holes and are using some of our math curriculum, like the ALICE program in the junior high. They use that pretty heavily to give extra practice on the concepts. And through the course of the year, you know, Mr. Wilson expects mastery of, I think it's 75 or 80% of the concepts. And so they're getting good exposure and they're getting good practice with all of those. And if they pass it, then they don't have to hang out in that concept anymore. They go to the next one. And so when you peruse Go Guardian, you'll see lots of little ALEC sessions going on here and there.
I have a question. What if you were just to teach? Go ahead and test them, but nothing applies. Do we get money taken away? Do we get our license taken away?
We get,
Accreditation?
I don't think it's,
We don't have.
No, if you do test them, but say they do poorly on it. No.
That's the thing. I don't know really what the teeth are in the test. There aren't any teeth in the test for the students except kids wanting to beat their last one maybe. But they don't even get their scores till the fall, usually in an aggregate report. We can get reports on these tests in the short term, but they're very broad. Like, let's say you're in band 2, or you're in band 1, or you're in band 3. We don't get a whole lot of direct feedback. The math is a little bit better at that, but again, that, you know, there's time for taking out then to do the reflection and checking. And I would love to be able to do that, but
Yeah, you can't.
because you can see that there's benefit to that.
Yeah.
But you're so pressured to get on to the next concept that.
it's a requirement. We have to meet the percentages of students participating and taking the test. I mean, that stuff is a have to because we've got that requirement. The other part of it is that it becomes published, you know. There isn't, I don't think, at least that I'm aware of, there aren't teeth to what, you know, how the kids do on it and all of that. But other than we want them to do their best to be a reflection of our communities and our school. But I totally get, I mean, if we would be able to go back and start to finish, these are concepts and in this progression. Because even with the new math program that we have, they're taking that material and grabbing this, and I'm going here because this is on the first test lit, and then I'm grabbing this material because it's on the next test lit. It doesn't follow a natural progression.
You can try. I mean, it does map out. There is a sequence that's recommended for our curriculum, but it's still 12 tests throughout the year, and they can range from a 10-minute test to a 40-minute test. Which is a ton of time. My opinion. You'd almost have to hire an independent study that went to everyone's classroom, took every kid, look at their bands, and then it says, you know, what concepts they missed, and break it down, because if the teacher did that, you'd be at home all day just going over your students individually. Yeah. And in all studies as well, like in all.
There's just not enough time in the day.
No, absolutely not.
And they are hard to make. I'm just worried that, you know, testing them to death over if they're not actually grabbing the concept and the only reason why they're not grabbing the concept. That adequate. Right. So, and we just went through the whole curriculum planning, how to make it flow.
And I hate, like, as a parent, telling my kids, like, don't stress out about it, just take it. But then you want them to know, like, testing's important. You gotta do that.
Right.
You know, like, still shoot for the A's, but I'm firing the lower thing.
Yeah.
I know, sorry. Anyway, to get published, you know, online, not individual with it kind of.
Well, the failure may be for the test itself.
Well, like, it is.
And that's, so, I mean, at that point. We're gonna be tested and reevaluated.
And our testing is part of our long range. Improving our score, but it's hard to do that based on pressure.
That's it, our professional development is. On each teacher plan.
We did data analysis that goes through. Part of what the. Part of what the.
I bet AI could help.
AI.
Right.
I bet
We
AI
did AI.
Take these quotes.
Is there anything else for the principals? Mr. Gutschus.
Yeah, I would like to give kudos to the principals. This is a difficult time. I mean, I'm the new guy here, but I've been around long enough to know that whenever we make major changes, or have proposed major changes, people don't like their cheese moving. If anybody's ever read that book, Who Moved My Cheese? They understand the mouse concept and they don't like the cheese moving. The longer you've been someplace, the more apt that you don't want your cheese moved. But as you guys have heard me say a zillion times now, is that we have to condense our cheese. We cannot afford to continue to run the show that we run. So consequently, that will require some migration of teachers. And so these people have been very instrumental in that. And it's not, I don't think it's fun necessarily. It's our obligation, it's our ambition, and it's required of us. But whenever you're the vector of those kind of things, you become a lightning rod. Sometimes you get named on a little bit. So kudos to the people for carrying the torch. Missoula Glass, they have all the materials. Are still waiting on the aluminum, but we are first on their list. I think that the aluminum structure for the high school, they're thinking third week. And once they get that this month, that's their best case scenario. And so anyways, they said they're gonna jump all over, because they know it's a safety issue for us. They will be here, and we still think it's gonna take a week to demo and then put back up, so. Maybe by next board meeting, we'll have some glass to look at, if you want to take a field trip.
I was gonna go look today to see if anything in that.
I'm planning on putting teacher renewals on next month's agenda. Of course, we've not had any bargaining yet with Tom and Company, but that those cells can be filled in, you know, later. At that time of year, we need to get moving on our renewals and our non-renewals as appropriate. And then Brad Dahl wants Bart Rex, myself, and Tara a conference call to talk about some possibilities of some poster boards. What sort of flyers do we want to do or not want to do? And so we're hoping to get that done this week if there's a window. It's hard to get people scheduled all the time to get a lunch. Tonight, so hopefully this week, yeah. Because we need to start getting some materials from them. You know, I got my hair cut last week and I was behind the pound. Them all cut, and I'm happy about it too.
Bombarded by questions?
Was, you know, people want to get some materials out. So what, how extensive do we want that? I had one to be together, so you better not send me one of those blanket. Here's my mail, I'll throw it away, you know, but you know, we have to do, I don't want to call it a promotional thing, but we need to do our due diligence on information. This is what this is. And so we'll be in that conference call as soon as possible, get that rolling, right? And that's all I have.
Is there anything else? Claims.
Claims that presented.
I moved and seconded to approve the claims as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Is there anything else from the business office?
The letter from Tara.
It's in the front of the, I think everybody's got it. in the front of
Everybody
their-
read it?
Front of their quotes.
And I don't need to read it.
First installment.
Well, I think there's another installment, so. Is there anything else for the business office? Any future agenda items?
I'll be honest, the poll, back on there.
Staff rule. Anything else?
Bob, I'll have a report on regional AI.
Your superintendent.
It'll be in my superintendent.
Just the status of where we're at on, I think it'll be March, on the ballot. Did it say March? Yeah.
RT.
18th, right, because there was misquote.
Ask if they'll do free propaganda.
Counted.
Good luck. Paper you're talking about.
We don't live in Beaver.
I do want to make sure though too, that some of our staff concerns about the building process, about the remodel process, is this gonna be, I mean, what we took out to the community and showed was, okay, we have these three options, we're gonna do this, or this on the sides. What,
Voted for this.
correct, so what does that entail? I want to make sure that our staff, if they know that there's something that's going on, whether to that building, needs to be done to the building, that we might not know about. I don't know if that's one there at the junior high that might need to be looked at as that our design engineering department is looking into.
There's been multiple meetings.
Has there? Okay.
There have been multiple, and there have been meetings have been revisited since those things. So.
I just want to make sure that they are part of the process, because a lot of times they have more insight than we do on what leaks, what don't, what needs to leak, you know, I mean.
I think that's what we saw a lot of those teachers at.
Okay.
At those community meetings as well, so. Yeah, I guess that's a conversation we'll have with Brad, but what's the next step here before? So.
Any other agenda items? Hearing none, we'll adjourn the meeting.